I have a business called Organised, which is an ancestral nutrition, all-in-one protein. It's got organs in it, colostrum, collagen. So getting nutrients into our diet through organs is an absolute cheat code because it's so much more bioavailable than synthetic vitamins. I saw a lot of people living this ancestral lifestyle, and that is just being more in tune with nature. And the reason it's ancestral is because our ancestors did it.
Hey guys, and welcome back to another exciting episode of Catch Ups in My Kitchen with me, Georgia Simmons, host of the podcast. This podcast is about all things food, health and wellness, and in my kitchen this week I am joined by Niall, the founder of Organised, which is a supplement full of organs, beef protein, collagen. And Niall really lives by this kind of ancestral lifestyle. And in this episode, I wanted to deep dive on this because I kind of lead more of a plant-based lifestyle. He lives kind of an ancestral lifestyle. So we kind of compare and contrast. And honestly, we kind of got to the point that our values kind of align. Although my personal preference is more plant heavy. I don't feel great when I eat meat, so I kind of stay away from that. But as I've mentioned in previous episodes, I have introduced Greek yogurt, I have introduced eggs. So I do really believe in a lot of what Niall talks about. But it's a fascinating episode about how ancestrally we used to eat a lot of like nose to tail. We used to eat the whole animal, including the organs, the brain, the hooves, the whole 9 yards. And because of like taste and personal preferences, that's kind of gone now as we've kind of decided that we prefer to eat just chicken breast or just the parts of the cow. So we talk about the value of eating the whole animal, the nutrients that you can get from the organs, his journey with Organised, and living the ancestral lifestyle, like what you do in the morning, like getting into the circadian rhythm, getting that natural light, not being on your phone, like all those things. It is fascinating. There is so much value to this, and there's so much truth to the fact that ancestrally we did these things, so why shouldn't we be doing them now? It was fascinating. I loved it. I love hearing about different ways that people live, their morning routines, their lifestyles. I find it fascinating. So I really hope you do too. Organised is a fantastic product, which really values quality. Like we talk about how Niall went to town on trying to find a manufacturer who would do exactly what he wanted. He was so particular. He wanted top quality ingredients and processes, and he's finally found that manufacturer. And Organised is a fantastic product. So if you are into that, if you're happy to eat organs and interested in eating good quality beef protein and all of that, then I'm leaving the link so you can go and check it out. It is definitely worth a visit because it's some pretty good stuff. So enjoy the episode. This is going to be a really big learning. I hope you love it. I definitely did. As always, please keep supporting the podcast. Give it a follow, subscribe, share this episode to a friend. Check us out on Instagram. Any support means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much in advance and enjoy the episode. Niall, welcome to my kitchen. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
You're so welcome. Do you mind giving a quick elevator pitch, who you are and what you do?
Yeah, sure. So my name's Niall. I'm 26, and I'd say the main thing that I do is I have a business called Organised, which is an ancestral nutrition, all-in-one protein. It's got organs in it, colostrum, collagen, and running the business is my main thing. And I also do like content on the side as well. Amazing.
I'm excited about this because I'd say this is a new trend. It's not a trend, but Instagram is calling it a trend at the moment with this whole like organ and the ancestral diet. So I'm excited to deep dive on all this. Before we do though, I have a quick fire round.
Let's do it.
About all things food.
Nice.
Cook in or eat out?
Cook in.
Favourite restaurant in London?
Flatiron.
This is quick, this is good. Go to delivery?
Waitrose.
Yeah. Go to cuisine?
Italian.
Nice. What's your go-to fridge or cupboard staple, which isn't the basics?
Fridge staple, sardine.
Nice.
Sardines.
Yeah.
Does that count?
Yeah, that definitely counts.
Nice.
And your favourite dish to cook at home?
Bone marrow tartare.
Wow, we've not had that on here before, that is for sure. I'm so intrigued.
That's a new one for me as well.
Nice, okay. So The first question is a big question. Why should we eat organs?
Organs are the most nutrient-dense food that you can get from anywhere in nature. And if you have the liver, is the most nutrient-dense in terms of the vitamin A that it has, vitamin B12, K2, and these are essential for health. A lot of people take supplements, and they're taking synthetic supplements because they just don't get it in their diet. We used to eat nose to tail, and we can go into what that means, but nose to tail is essentially just eating the whole animal. And we've literally evolved for thousands of years having eaten the organs, and the organs are a prized possession in, if you look at the tribes like the Hadza tribe, or even in animals. One interesting thing is the wolves will let the alpha wolf go first, and it always goes for the liver because it is the most nutrient dense. So getting nutrients into our diet through organs is an absolute cheat code because it's so much more bioavailable than synthetic vitamins. And also, like, I don't know if you've ever had a food where you eat it and instantly you just feel so good on it. So I get that from organs, and that's why I include them.
Okay, interesting. It's really funny because like my mum loves liver and kidneys, and when we were younger she used to do liver and kidneys for us as kids.
Yeah.
And I'm now so far from that, but like she loves it and highly promotes it, and I remember growing up eating that.
Yeah. What did you think when you ate it?
It's an acquired taste, for sure. I can't remember which one I preferred now. There's one which was not as acquired as the other.
Kidney, I mean, liver's hard to eat, but kidney for me, I got like proper just, that goes down the hatch, and I don't like that one.
So why do we not like typically eat organs now? I mean, we do, but like, why is it not as much of a common thing? Because you mentioned how we used to, and now we don't as much. So where's the disconnect gone?
Since 1950, like 1960, we started having supermarkets, and we've got this global food chain, and there's a whole industry where you can have anything you want. I mean, you got a really nice store down Battersea store, and it's like you walk in there and you can get absolutely everything. I've got freshly squeezed orange juice. I'm in the UK, like we don't grow oranges here, and I just love my orange juice. So like stuff like that you can just get, and when you have access to that kind of stuff, you'll have like, oh, I like this, and you grow up eating certain things. Steak and maybe mince as well, and burgers and sausages just are more delicious to the majority of people. I don't know anyone that likes liver more than steak and burgers and stuff. So that is just down to taste, and when you've got access to everything, you are just going to pick. And it probably takes about 2 generations typically. And interesting that you say your mum, she probably grew up eating liver and kidney. My mum didn't, but my grandma did, and she loves calf's liver. And she's grown up where they would used to buy the whole cow, and they do like a cow share. So they've got the neighbour would chip in, and they buy this cow. That's a lot of money, but that will last them for the year. So it all gets frozen, and not a single thing goes to waste. So then they grew up having the calf's liver. There's obviously like, she didn't like kidney and stuff, and there's things that she didn't like. But once you grow up having it, it's different. Whereas nowadays, you probably wouldn't have had. I mean, you did, but this sort of depends on like where you grew up and stuff.
Completely. So you keep mentioning like nose to tail. Do you mind explaining what that means?
Yeah, I mean, it's literally the entire animal, and that includes like hooves and like weird, like the brain, everything. Because if you think about survival, and we're far from that now, but actually if you go back maybe like 4 or 5 generations, like food was very scarce and so prized that you would just get eating scraps most of the time. But when you did get meat, it was like a big celebration, which is why we typically have like meat around Christmas and different seasonal periods, because it is so celebrated because of how rare it was to get back in the day, and it's hard. And you know, if you like look at the Hadza tribe, their whole life is built around hunting, and so once they do catch something, they bring it back to the tribe or the village, and it's a celebration of, it's like one of the happiest moments for them. That is their dopamine spike, is bringing that food back to the tribe, and not a single thing is going to go to waste. So they will eat nose to tail. You can have I think broths are quite common, especially like winter time, so a lot of people eating oxtail, and I've been doing oxtail broth recently, and it's just, it's so good. So that's good that people still do that, but I just think the majority aren't eating anything other than, if they do eat meat, it's going to be a steak every now and then.
I think it's because of like the increase in population, meaning we then have like lots of farmed animals, and like kind of everything's been en masse, and because everything's en masse, we can just like buy like pick up what we want, chuck the rest, because we know we can go to the supermarket the next day and just get it again.
And this is like, it creates a huge problem because there's so much going to waste, and people like supply and demand. If people are really buying chicken breast, that's going to be produced way more, and all the chicken bones will just go to waste. And that's the same with every animal that's getting slaughtered or whatever, and just like mass scale.
Completely. So you live an ancestral lifestyle. Do you mind explaining like what that is, and also how you came to live this lifestyle? Because we kind of touched on before we started recording that you had a moment where you kind of followed more of a plant-based lifestyle. Yeah. So do you mind touching on your journey from kind of plant-based to ancestral, because that's quite polar opposite lifestyles, I'd say.
Yeah, I mean, what is ancestral lifestyle? I've never called it that in person. I've never been like, I live ancestrally. It's things that make sense to me, and I gravitated towards them through my education of YouTube and Instagram and the people that I follow. I'm very specific on who I follow on Instagram and who's actually visible on my feed. There's a lot of like people that they probably don't know, but I mute a lot of people on Instagram because I just want my feed to be curated around education and inspirational things, and not have any sort of media, negative news, whatever, or just things that aren't related to personal growth. So I saw a lot of people living this ancestral lifestyle, and that is just being more in tune with nature. And the reason it's ancestral is because our ancestors did it. We grew up as humans, we've evolved for like thousands of years being barefoot, being outside, only wearing natural fibers. And in the last 100 years we've had things like plastic introduced, polyester, if you get into like the kitchen, you got Teflon pans, you got non-stick. These chemicals have just absolutely devastated our lives because they're just everywhere. And you look at toiletries, everything like that. So ancestral is the everything. It's not just food, it's the way that you live your life, what you do in the morning, your routine through the day, the foods that you eat, obviously, what you drink, and the environment that you live in, the toxins that reach our environment.
This episode is sponsored by Zuki. If, like me, you're interested in supplements and love to feel your best, then you need to try Zuki's range of liposomal supplements. They have been clinically proven to provide 4 times the amount of absorption compared to conventional supplements, which means you feel the benefits faster. They also come in a delicious single-serve sachet, which means you can look forward to taking your supplements every day. My current favourite is vitamin B12, which tastes just like strawberry. If you're interested in trying Zuki, they have given all catch-up listeners a chance to receive a free taster pack. This includes vitamin C, D, B12, collagen, and turmeric. To receive your free pack, click the link in the show notes. Thank you so much, Zuki, for sponsoring the podcast. Now let's get back to the episode.
There's a lot, like we could unpack it. I could go into every single thing that I avoid, why I avoid it, all the things that I get in specifically. But it's taken me years. I probably was first introduced to it, I think like 6 years ago. And it was a guy called Mark Sisson, and then also Paul Saladino and Ben Greenfield, and a few of these guys that were just like sort of breaking out at that point, talking about it. I think it was on the Joe Rogan podcast, and it was fascinating to me. I remember I first heard Joe Rogan say that he was trying a carnivore diet, and I remember being like, what, this guy's, he's done it for a month. And then there's people that do carnivore diet for years, and it's like, how have they not had a heart attack? And this idea of saturated fat being bad for us, and it's traditional knowledge. And if you go to the hospitals and you speak to a doctor, I recently got my bloods tested and I was really happy with them, but they flagged it like high cholesterol, but they didn't look at the different levels of cholesterol. They just grouped it all together. They didn't look at my metabolic resting rate, like all these different factors. They just completely ignored it and just said, you've got high cholesterol, this is a flag. Didn't tell me what to do. They said, take medication. It's like, they have no idea. So yeah, it took me a long time to get into it because I was so opposed to it. I used to be vegan, and I had a herbal tea business. Was super into the lifestyle. I still drink herbal tea now. Like, herbal tea's cool. I like that. There's a place for it. And in doing that, I play a lot of football, and I'm very sporty and very competitive as well. So anything affects my performance, like I'll pick up on it quickly. And I'm always looking, like I used to just be obsessed with supplements. I even worked for a company called Health, it's a supplement retailer. Yeah. I was the guinea pig in the office because I love everything that like collagen and all the electrolytes and stuff. I was testing that. But with a vegan diet, I saw a footballer called Jermaine Defoe, and he was doing vegan, and he was about 32 or something at the time, and getting on in football terms, but still playing at like a high level. And I was like, wow, how is he doing that? Tried a vegan diet. I was still eating. I didn't have a good understanding of nutrition then, and I still ate a lot of processed foods because it was just vegan. I was like, oh, it's healthy. And then, yeah, like I noticed 3 things. One, my skin just didn't feel, there was something like a little bit, just like dry skin. Hair was definitely thinning, and I had no energy. Or the first month was right, but by the second month I had no energy, and my recovery was so bad. I was like, yeah, there's just no way I can continue this. I went back to eating what I was eating before, which was just very standard UK, British, like even like standard American diet. It's the same thing. It's like, it's just processed foods are 60% of our diet on average. So that's crazy, and that's just what I went back to eating. And I did feel a little bit better with that, because I was getting like the occasional steak and stuff. And my mum does do a lot of home cooking, which is, I'm really fortunate growing up where she cooks everything, and I've really embodied that.
Yeah, completely. I think it's so true. The plant-based thing is really fascinating. And I also had a plant-based business, and I think that because it kind of hit the market at such a rate and everyone was jumping on it, so were brands and food manufacturers, and it kind of just like became this really, really unhealthy diet where like there was I'm not even going to mention the name of this restaurant, but it was like named a really healthy name, and they did like vegan burgers and like nuggets and hot dogs and stuff like that, and I was like,
I think I know that one.
Yeah, and I was like, this is not healthy, this is not clean, this is not like what plant-based is. And I just think that everyone just thought, oh, I'm gonna have a plant burger because I know it's healthy because it's vegan. It's like, what planet are we on? And this is crazy. Like, being plant-based means plant heavy. That means like natural heavy. Like, I don't live the ancestral lifestyle, but I do like get all of it, and I actually probably practice a lot of the things you probably practice, but I have it from a plant-based aspect, and like I kind of feel the same you feel in terms of like the energy, skin, hair, but weirdly on the plant-based end. But I'm really controlling in terms of like, I eat like 30 plus plants a week, I have ridiculous diversity, like I have loads of fresh herbs, and like I don't really buy anything pre-made, everything's like from scratch and all that kind of stuff, which, don't get me wrong, it's a privilege, and we're in the same position here where like it's a privilege to be able to have the time to prepare your food like that. I completely understand that, but like we're in that industry, so like that's our like also our work and our lifestyle, so like that's great. So yeah, I'm completely with you. I want
to touch on that a little bit, because when I realised you're plant-based, I got quite excited, because I'm so used to just speaking to people in this space, and the journey I've been on to get to where I am has been through learning with, for example, I was a videographer for Paul Saladino, and I guess he's a little bit more like, he eats fruit and raw honey, but he used to be carnivore, and in working with him, he has a very, even I would say like a very restricted diet, and it is like he just has a complete hatred for certain vegetables because of the oxalates and the plant's defense chemicals. I don't know if you've ever seen any of his stuff. Just like,
I don't think I have. I need to check it out.
He's kind of like the guy that really took it viral from the Joe Rogan podcast, went on talking about, and they coined the term animal-based. And I was with him for 4 months doing videography. When I went out there, I was like, this is amazing. Like, he's got like 2 million followers. I was super excited. And I was going out eating exactly what he would like, the exact same, just to like, because I genuinely believe like that was the best. And because I was in Costa Rica, the quality of the food was really good. It was all grown locally, etc. Like, I felt amazing, and I think I had everything dialed in. Like, I was so optimal with everything, and I still just had this craving. And I'm Italian. I've grown up. My granddad used to have an Italian restaurant, so I've grown up having pasta, olive oil, and those are things that he completely avoids. And I was wondering, like, why do I crave like parsley and basil and tomatoes? And he doesn't eat them. Tomatoes technically a fruit, but he just like, there's still things, he has like levels to it. And I started to reintroduce tomatoes, and then I was cooking with like herbs, fresh herbs, and they don't affect me. Like, I don't have any negative side effects. And he does say like, if it doesn't affect you, then keep going. And I noticed that I could actually I started to introduce like carrots, cucumbers, and then I was getting like more and more vegetables, and I was like, I feel great, and I'm still eating the meat side of things. I don't really want to be, I think on a surface level, you come to my profile, I do talk about meat a lot because of the nutrients in it and how it makes me feel, and like the direct, like, you eat a piece of liver, that is instant energy. So on a surface level you see that like this is the meat guy, but actually I do have a lot of vegan followers, a lot of plant-based followers. I had a vegan message me the other day just saying that we don't agree on the meat side of things, but actually I completely understand your message, and it doesn't feel like the way that you communicate your message is like making me feel bad for not eating meat and stuff, which is nice, because at the end of the day, like I'd probably eat, if that's the way that you're cooking, like you're going about your food, I'd probably eat like everything that you eat. It's just that I add in the meat as well.
Yeah, completely. And I think I always talk about like what's your why, and I think that's really important to like establish when you're like thinking about how you want to live your life. And like, is your why health? Is it sustainability? Is it the environment? Is it ethics? Like, what are you believing in? Like, why are you making the choices you want to make? For me, it's like I want to be the healthiest version of myself. So like that is like literally the bottom line. So for me, I'm also would say I'm probably like 80% vegan now. I've actually like introduced some other things.
Like what?
So like yogurt. So I like cut all dairy out because I was lactose intolerant when I was literally, I think 14. And so that was a long time ago. And so that was like 12 years ago. And at that time, like the dairy alternatives were terrible. I kind of just cut it out. Never really ate much cheese anyway, so that wasn't a problem. But anyway, I had someone on the podcast and they were talking about Greek yogurt, and they were kind of saying how the way that Greek yogurt is made, like properly made, gets rid of all the lactose. So if you buy like proper Greek yogurt, the lactose amount is so small that it shouldn't affect you. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like, and as a plant-based person, I actually hated all the yogurt alternatives. They were full of rubbish, and it really bothered me. I was like, I want to get the benefits from yogurt rather than like,
it's so processed.
It's so processed. Yeah. So tried yogurt, and I was like, I'm fine. And then like kefir, like I love kombucha, I love sauerkraut, I love kimchi. I was like, I really want to have kefir as well.
Yeah. So
tried it, I'm fine. So I'm like, okay, if I'm buying it from a good source, and like again, I'm like a bit fussy on where I get it from. I'm not just gonna get any brand, because also this is a whole different topic. But like, there's a massive difference between Greek style yogurt and Greek yogurt. You know.
Yeah.
But like, you see the word Greek, and you're like, yeah, got it. But Greek style and Greek yogurt is like,
it's a marketing scam.
Yeah. So I'm finding out where I get it from, but I feel great, and like I wanted the benefits. So for me, I'm like, okay, I now eat like dairy. Well, I eat yogurt. I don't eat milk or any dairy milk or anything like that. I've also introduced like raw honey. I would 100% have. Don't really buy it. Don't really need it. Like my diet doesn't. I don't really miss it. But like if I saw it, I'd be like, oh yeah, I'll get that. And fish. I eat fish if I am from somewhere where I know where it's from.
Nice.
So I won't buy fish. Well, I only buy fish from a market called Wild. Have you heard of it?
Yeah.
Have I sent this to you?
Yeah, I was checking it out. It's really cool.
Yeah, so I buy it from Wild, and like they're insane, but that's it. And if I go out, I never eat fish, but if I go abroad and like there's like a fish market or something like that, I'll buy fish. But those are the only things I've introduced.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, so I'm very much like, I want to feel the best version of me. I don't like the taste of meat, so that's kind of where my meat thing has gone.
Okay. Wait, so you're introduced, how long have you been introducing the animal products for? I
would say fish probably maybe since the beginning of the year-ish, like January.
Do you feel like you're on a slope to,
I don't know.
Are more things coming? Is there anything, what's next?
I don't know what next would be. I'm at the moment, I don't think I would go meat. I don't know. But I'm also like, if I'm out and I have Italian, like a plain tomato pasta, for example, I would have parmesan on that, because again,
raw cheese.
Yeah, and also like parmesan's got really like small amount of lactose in it, so I'm like, it's not going to affect me.
Fermented, they're usually fermented for like 18 to 30 months.
Yeah.
When you ferment it, so that's also why you feel good with I guess some yogurts, but mostly kefir, is it's fermented, and the fermentation process lowers the lactose, and you get so many probiotics and digestive enzymes and all sorts of good stuff in there.
Yeah, so I think I want to eat for health. It's not like I'm like, no, like don't. Again, with fish, I'm like, I want to eat fish because I think there's so much great things that come from eating fish that I can't supplement and don't want to supplement. And again, I don't really take many supplements because I want to get it all from food.
What do you take?
Supplement wise, I take vitamin D. I take vitamin C if I need it, and I take like a hair supplement occasionally. That's about it, really.
Okay.
Ashwagandha depends on how I feel, and magnesium at night. Actually, it does sound like I take a lot, but I don't really.
Yeah, I mean, they're quite standard ones. Have you ever had your bloods tested?
Yeah, and I was fine.
Really?
Yeah, nothing came up. But again, like I was saying this on the podcast this morning, like I write out what I'm eating on a Sunday for the whole week, like in my notes, like breakfast, lunch, dinner, I write out just roughly, just so I know like I'm getting a variety of things. And so again, it just minimizes another decision I have to make on that day. But it just shows, eggs, I eat eggs.
Okay.
But,
okay.
Yeah, that's another thing.
That's a big one.
It is. Again, I'm funny where I get them from.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I'm the
out.
same. I wouldn't just like have a Tesco caged egg at all. I wouldn't go near that.
Yeah. So again, I think there's a lot of amazing like benefits to eating eggs, and I don't eat them all the time. Don't eat them every week, but I have them in my cupboard right now. I will have one today, 100%. But I buy like organic eggs, free range, make sure they are as good as they can be, and I eat eggs.
I mean, the eggs are very nutrient dense, and you obviously get the protein, but you get B12 and vitamin D, which if you're eating a plant-based diet, you will be lacking in B12, and that's a big one. Just for skin, hair, just the way that you feel, your immune system. I think that's probably the common deficiency with vegan diets and plant-based diets. If you don't eat eggs, you're definitely gonna be lacking in B12.
Yeah, definitely. And I just think that for me, when I think about diet, I think I have so much energy naturally. Like I wake up, I'm out of bed, I'm like excited about like life, and I just think that is definitely food. Like I feel so great, have so much energy. Don't get me wrong, there are some days when you're like, oh my god, I'm tired.
Yeah,
that's
life. Just human life.
Yeah, but like generally, I just feel great. And I think if you're just feeling sluggish, then definitely like look at your like diet has to come first for sure. I want to touch on your routine, like your morning routine. I feel like you'll have an extensive morning routine. Do you mind touching on it?
It's definitely gotten less extensive recently. I used to be that guy that would get so obsessed. I'd see Ben Greenfield, I don't know if you know him, he's like biohacker guy, and he would wake up and have 50 different protocols, and I remember just taking a note. I'd even go down to the level of like, he'd do all these different things, and his digestive system would be so unclocked that he'd even like factor in going for a poo in the morning. And I was like, oh, this is like a great schedule. So I literally wrote down everything. I was like, I'm going to copy this guy, red light therapy, like goes downstairs naked, gets red light, trying to like all these different things. In the end, I just couldn't keep up with it, and it felt like super overwhelming. 3 days in, I'm like, oh my God, I'll just do a few of these things. But now what I find really, really works for me is I'm very big on morning routine, but not some like 50 step protocol. It's literally wake up. The first thing I want to do is just get outside. You got about 6:30 to 7 is when I get up, and it's like UVB, and you're going to be getting this type of sunlight that just raises cortisol, which sounds like a bad thing, but when you're waking up in the morning, naturally your body just raises the cortisol, and that's how you feel awake and alert. So that's something that happens. Just don't want to go on my phone for like the first hour at least. And
on this, my phone wakes me up. That's my alarm.
That's get rid of that.
So what wakes you up? An actual alarm?
So it's a bit of a process, and I don't know if it's difficult. I know everyone's different when it comes to sleep. I'm not a sleep expert or anything, but if I have a consistent go to bed and wake up at the same time 7 days a week, doesn't matter if it's a weekday, weekend, I'm super consistent with my sleep, and I'm like, as soon as my head hits the pillow, I'm asleep, because my body knows what time to go to sleep. And I wake up, I literally see the sunlight, and that helps tune your circadian rhythm. I honestly believe when you have the most in tune circadian rhythm that you can get, and you're doing those steps and you're seeing sunset most nights, your body knows. I can literally wake up and I know what the time is. I know that it's like, just by like judging the light and how I feel, I know, it's 6:45 right now. And it's weird because I'll be like a minute or two out, or like bang on, and it happens all the time. And there's days where in the past I've like been out with friends, gone for dinner, traveling is a big one, and that throws me off. And then I'm like, oh, it must be like 7 right now, and look at my thing, it's like 8, and it's like, what has happened? And it's because I'm thrown off. So when I am in tune, and because I'm so hot on it, I'm pretty much all the time going to bed at the same time, like an old man at 10 o'clock in the evening, I'm asleep. But that means that I just know that I'm going to wake up at 6:30. I'm never worried, like if I've got to be somewhere, I'm never worried that I'm going to wake up late.
So you wake up naturally?
Yeah. And I
think I'm too much of a control freak to like rely on myself to wake up.
Did you have blackout blinds or anything?
No.
They're dangerous. They will definitely stop me from waking up. I used to get like 10 hours sleep with blackout blinds.
Oh my gosh.
I felt good, but I've gotten rid of those, and I have these it blocks out most of the light, but I can still enough to wake me up. Like a little bit of sunlight in the morning is quite nice to wake up.
I agree.
But we're getting into winter now, and that's going. Yeah.
It's harder. I interrupted your morning routine. So you're up,
so
you're outside.
Wake up, no phone, outside, you wake up about 40% dehydrated on average, and most people just go for coffee straight away, which dehydrates you further. So I have a bottle of spring water. Don't drink tap water because there's a lot of stuff coming out. Even seen Bear Grylls pair up with this guy, and it's becoming common knowledge, which is super exciting, because I was talking about this a couple of years ago to my mum and my family and getting shunned, and it's like, oh, well, you spend so much money on water and just a little bit like trying to be fancy and all this stuff. And I'm trying to explain why, and it's taken a while. And now obviously Bear Grylls is a big figure. They've seen that and they're like, yeah, but they don't drink tap water anymore. So they finally bought into it. That's a big thing. So I have spring water and I add in a little squeeze of lemon and some salt, just like a pinch of salt, just to try and get electrolytes in. I used to, when I was back in the supplement days, taking things like Element and electrolytes and stuff, and synthetic supplements, they all got natural flavors, which are actually not natural at all and far from it, and they upset my gut. I feel it. They got stevia that also upsets my gut, and just things like that, just like very processed. And obviously stevia is natural, but it's not something that I think we should be having high amounts of in our diet. There's an interesting fact on stevia, but I found out that there's actually a tribe which uses stevia in high doses as a form of contraception for male fertility.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
It's quite worrying.
Yeah, but I mean, it's in like super low doses in food and stuff, but it does affect my gut. So I don't take any synthetic electrolytes, make my little salt mix, walk outside barefoot. Mum gets really pissed off because I live at home with my mum, and I'm walking around with barefoot, and then I come in the house and there's like footprints everywhere.
Oh no.
And then my favourite time in the morning, so like that's a bit of a slog, like waking up and stuff, there's no phone, it's a bit of discipline, and then it's my reward is to go sit down, make a coffee about an hour after waking up, which means that your adenosine has lowered completely, and when you have coffee first thing and your adenosine's high, it binds to the caffeine binds to the adenosine, and then it lowers it, but then when the caffeine wears off, the adenosine spikes again, and that's what makes you sleepy like midday. So I try and wait about an hour and a half or so, like an ideal day, and then I just sit and journal, and I love journaling, which is a big thing. That's like the centerpiece of my morning routine.
Okay, nice. Coffee, I need the details here. So are we black coffee? Is there anything added to your coffee? What's the situation?
My coffee is a little bit of wizardry alchemy going on.
Yeah, I knew this wasn't going to be a standard coffee, so we need the details.
Coffee is a big one. You can have those like Nescafe coffee pods, or you can have instant coffee and tap water, and like I wouldn't go near that stuff. That is not healthy. But then you can have organic, mycotoxin free coffee, the actual beans, you ground them up, turn it into, so it's freshly ground, and then I brew it with spring water. Then once I take coffee, I'll probably have my yogurt as well before that, just to sort of line my stomach, and it binds to the fats and things. But I'll also I get this raw buffalo milk from the farm that's near my dad's. I love to visit that place, is like my heaven. So I get some raw buffalo milk.
What's it called? Where is it?
It's called Buffalicious.
Okay,
and
nice.
It's near Yeovil.
Yeah, you know the place well?
Yeah, it's a very cool farm, and buffalo milk is very different to cow's milk. It's very fatty, full of nutrition, super sweet. It tastes like a milkshake. So I add that into it, and that just gives like full of nutrition in the morning with my coffee. I add in Organised, which is my product, and that's increased the nutrients even further. Collagen in there. I get some raw honey, and I wait till my coffee's like lukewarm, and then I add in the honey to the coffee, so it doesn't damage the nutrients, because they're quite heat sensitive in honey. Obviously it's raw honey. And there's a little fact as well, when I add the honey in, I've got one of those wooden honey dippers, because if you have stainless steel, for some reason that reacts with the raw honey, and it denatures some of the nutrients and the digestive enzymes in honey, which is like the best thing about honey. So yeah, just to minimize that. I don't know how much, I've heard it and I've looked at different people doing that, and so I've copied it, and that's why traditionally we have that wooden little honey dipper, and it looks pretty cool as well.
It does look pretty cool. Okay, amazing. This is so interesting. Okay, so what time are we at now? So you've done your journaling, and then are you straight into your day? Is there a workout in there? Is there red light in there? I feel like we're not finished. Or are we finished? Yeah,
it's very different, because I travel around quite a lot, and so I've got my ideal day where I'm in one location, fully settled, and everything's going smoothly. But then I also have business, and I've got like crazy notifications of exciting things popping up on Instagram, and it's like, I want to get into that. And as soon as I get into something, especially with work, customer service, I'm running pretty much everything on my own at the moment, it does call me to work, and I feel a little bit guilty if I'm not getting there, like speaking to customers straight away, and I want to
Yeah.
provide the best service. So generally after journaling, and also when I journal, I write down 3 things that I'm grateful for, just to set that mindset that it kind of makes me really happy, and I feel really like grateful for everything. I feel like I've got loads of people around me that support me. It's such a nice thing to do in the morning. And then I write my to-do list, and I set an intention for the day. By that point, I'm just so ready to just get into work. I'm like, I've got so many cool things to work on today. So
Yeah. Okay.
yeah, I'm straight into work. But the ideal day would be do the journaling, and then I like to get my workout out of the way as well. So if there's nothing pressing, I will go do a workout.
Fine. Nice. Let's touch on Organised.
Mm-hmm.
So what made you start the supplement, and what is it?
Yeah, so like I said before, I had a tea company and I was vegan, and I was very much on that side that plants are the best and everything, and I've been on this crazy journey. It took me to Health, which I mentioned earlier, and they are a health and wellness retailer but predominantly supplements, and I was the first employee at the company, and it was like all brand new. And after my tea business, I joined the guys because they're very intelligent, the founders, and got on really well with them. I knew that I was going to learn a lot. Sat down with them, we started growing the business, and it was so exciting to me because I was at the stage where I literally did anything to optimize. I was playing football as well, anything to optimize my performance, my recovery, taking endless supplements. There was just something about taking the supplements and then either not noticing an effect or just being a little bit disappointed that actually doesn't have as much an effect as I thought. And then that's around the time that I started getting my bloods tested, and it was really interesting that I was also learning about Paul Saladino and his methodology on animal-based and organs, and he's got an organ company because he knows the benefits and the value of organs in your diet. So I had blood test from my 3-year journey of just progressively adding more and more meat and organs into my diet, raw milk, those sorts of things, and just I had different little issues I didn't even know were issues at the time just completely go. My skin got so good. I never used to have curly hair. My hair's gone curly since introducing collagen. Yeah.
That's fascinating.
Just weird little things like that. And I'm
Yeah.
I just feel so much healthier. And I didn't realise, I didn't eat that much processed stuff when I was working at Health, but it was just all these supplements. I found out that the bioavailability of synthetic supplements doesn't even come on the scale when comparing it to actual whole foods. So I went deep into whole foods. I worked with Paul out in Costa Rica, just really into the diet and the lifestyle. But one thing that I noticed was my family just couldn't buy into eating that way. And my mum's had IBS for 15 years. My grandparents in their 90s and frail, and I just was trying to push them you need to eat more liver, you need to eat more meat, cut out the processed food. It's just really difficult to get that across. And I was spending about £200 on supplements that were not synthetic, but they're actually the organs, the colostrum, collagen, beef protein, because I also was trying to get as much nutrients into my diet. And it was costing me a lot, and the diet itself wasn't accessible to my family. So it just made so much sense. I couldn't believe that they didn't exist. But I was I need to put this into one powder and not flavour it with any natural flavours. I hate protein. I'm so sick of it. I used to have all these different form nutrition. So I don't want to shit on them.
I do love it. But yeah, I know what you mean. There are, yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to shit anymore. But I just hate natural flavours. And I find if I have you get the chocolate and you have that for a month, you're so sick of with me anyway, I'm sick of that stuff by the end of it, vanilla flavour, and you get toffee and all that stuff. So
yeah.
I couldn't believe that no protein existed without having raw honey. And I didn't understand why no one was doing that. And there's a way, I was told by manufacturers that you couldn't do it, and it spent about a year, just conversation after conversation. I think I spoke to over 50 different manufacturers and was on the phone with all of them and just being told I couldn't do it.
Why? Because of the way that raw honey was built, the molecule element of it, or the heat element, or trying to get it into a powder form?
Traditional manufacturers, just their standards, the ways, the processes, and typically you would bind it with different fillers maltodextrin and things, and I have just a really high standard of what I wanted, and I finally found a way to do it without using any of that stuff, and it's just completely just raw honey, and that's exactly what I wanted. And you just got to speak to the right person that's willing to take a bet on it. It just wasn't industry standard at the time, so for all these manufacturers it felt like a risk for them to use these ingredients. So the fact that there was just the right person, the right manufacturing company that was willing to take a bet on it, could see the vision of what I was trying to do with the product, and was just yeah, let's do this, and have been amazing. So I've got a really good manufacturer of it. We launched in June, and my biggest issue at the moment is just keeping stock. We're just selling so fast, and it's such a nice thing, because I initially did this for me, my family, my friends, just to get the word out there a little bit. I love business and stuff, so I wanted to get into it, but it's so nice that there's actually so many people who really just struggle to get meat into their diet, and a high quality of meat they can guarantee. And it's so easy. You just add it with milk, you can do it with yogurt. It doesn't taste, it sounds like it would taste disgusting, it's got organs in it, but that's the whole thing that I was working on, was to get enough raw honey, and we got maple syrup and date without being too much sugar, but at the same time masking that smell, masking the taste. And you can add it to raw milk, it tastes like a smoothie. I've got 4 little brothers, and they absolutely love it, and they're getting organs in their diet, but to them it's this milkshake. I've had some like banana and honey, and they absolutely love it. So it's so easy to get nutrients into kids' diets. I'd say our biggest demographic is actually women who are either like the postpartum or prenatal stage, and they just have a huge requirement of nutrients to develop a human, or to actually breastfeed. There's also another interesting little thing. My girlfriend started taking Organised and was getting her bloods tested before and after, and in that time, by the end of it, with the second blood test, her prolactin was a lot higher, like off the charts, like high, which is the hormone that helps produce lactase, so the breast milk. That's really interesting.
So interesting.
Yeah, and that was the only thing she changed in the diet.
I mean, I think the proof is in the pudding, but 100%. I think there's so much to be said for all of this, and I completely agree. Like, if you go back in time, this is what we were all eating, and this is how we lived, and so there's got to be some sense in all of that. So I do agree with a lot of it. I actually agree with all of it. It's more just like personal preference and like personal taste and stuff. Yeah. I want to touch on raw milk, because this is something that you also have spoken about and touch on. What is raw milk? Why should people be interested in consuming raw milk? And why should people not buy milk from the supermarket?
Yeah, it's funny, like, I just reading this topic, I get excited, because I just love raw milk. And I'm someone that, if you spoke to me 5 years ago saying, do you like milk? I've never drank milk. I hated it. And I had this instant connection when my grandma, she grew up on a raw dairy farm. She used to speak about it a lot, and so I kind of had the idea of it, and I see people online drinking it, and it was just this idea of like, why is raw different? Raw milk is essentially literally from the cow. It's been bottled straight away. There's no homogenization of it, which is the mixing of it, where you mix the cream that naturally sits on top, you mix it through. When you homogenize it, you break the cells down, and it kind of has less of a nutrient benefit. But then they also pasteurize it. Pasteurization, which is a whole nother topic of why we do it in the first place, and where it originally came from. When you really look into like the Rockefeller family pushing it, and they have pasteurization facilities, and they're benefiting off of it, and people aren't getting the same nutrient benefit from having raw milk because of this pasteurization, which was kind of coated with the fact that if you drink raw milk, it's dangerous, there's parasites, E. coli. Honestly, like, it's crazy when you go into that world. It seems so just insane when you believe that there's E. coli and all these different outbreaks and things, and you really understand like why it was put in the first place, and it's like all of that was just a lie. And of course you can get sick from anything. You can get sick from, there's E. coli outbreaks for raw lettuce. Anything raw has a risk. You just need to understand the source of it, the quality of it. The reason that raw milk is so much better than, I guess, supermarket milk or pasteurized milk is just, you have really heat sensitive nutrients, the digestive enzymes in it, the probiotics, the amount of bacteria that you get, beneficial bacteria for your gut, and there's something called lactase, which is the enzyme that breaks down lactose. So all these people that are very sensitive with lactose are drinking pasteurized milk from the supermarket that has no lactase. Because you naturally produce lactase, they don't have a very high amount, so they do struggle with supermarket milk. I have a crazy story of a girl who was incredibly like lactose intolerant, and she tried Organised in raw buffalo milk, and I was so confident, and she was so willing to do it, that she had a huge glass of it, and it was at an event that we launched Organised, and she came in the morning, and I was so excited because I couldn't believe that she actually gave me her trust. She had this massive thing of raw buffalo milk. By the end of the day, she came up to me, I was like, how do you feel? She's like, honestly, what have you put in that? I feel insane. She's like, I had energy the whole day. and it's because she's just getting nutrients that she's probably never had before. So like milk is a complete food. There's so much goodness in it, and there's just so many different aspects of milk. Another point that's important to touch on is the animal that it came from, and obviously the quality, but the actual species of the animal. So you think just a cow is a cow, but there's two different types of genetics. It's A1 and A2. A1 is the typical, I don't know, we call them like the daisy cows, black and white. And then A2 is predominantly Jersey cows, Guernsey cows. You can get sheep, goat, and buffaloes, all A2. And what that means is that genetic changes the amino acid structure of the casein. So you have A2, which is going to have beta casein, and then A1, which just has casein. That difference, that subtle difference, humans for some reason really struggle with A1. I don't know what it is, like casein. And you get these supplement companies that use casein because it's a bit of a waste product with milk in the milk industry. They scrape it off, they take the casein, and they sell it as a supplement. I couldn't believe that you can actually buy casein protein.
Oh my gosh.
It's insane. And that's the thing that is causing like a lot of lactose symptoms are coming from people that have an A1, and just not knowing, like, if you have Jersey milk that's raw, you'll be absolutely thriving on that versus just the typical. And predominantly in supermarkets you'll have A1. It's just across all the shelves. It's pasteurized, low quality, commercial, on mass scale. The cows are eating GMO and hormones, and yeah, it's not good.
Yeah, no, not at all. Why do people say we shouldn't be having dairy anymore then?
Because of the supermarkets. It's like, even I have all this knowledge and I absolutely love raw milk. There are days where it's just a bit of a mission to go, I've got to drive an hour to go get raw milk, or to order it online and it's all sold out and it takes a couple of days to get. Like, there's barriers to entry when it comes to raw milk, and you need to know the farmer, you need to trust the source. So even if I'm struggling, there are people that have absolutely no idea where to get raw milk from.
Yeah.
Which is why it's kind of, I feel, a bit of my mission to connect people to raw milk, but also just to farms and to help farmers, because these big supermarkets are cutting out farmers now, and they're getting their own farms, and it's mass scale and it's not good quality. We're losing that important of the local farmers, and it's like, I feel so strongly about connecting people to that. So I created an app that's under Organised. It's just called Organised, but it has every single farm in the UK that has raw milk, grass-fed meat, seasonal fruit and veg, high quality raw honey, just everything that I think we should be buying from farms. And you can find that all on the map. And there's, I think I surprised myself because I haven't marketed it, but there's thousands of people that use it, and it's so nice to think that all these people is going. I get so many cool stories. Like, there was this one girl that I think she's like 17, doesn't drive. She said that she walked 4 hours on the app to go to her nearest raw milk farm.
Oh
she was
my
like,
god!
I am so excited to try it, and then went on a proper hike for it.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, that also makes a lot of sense in terms of like the reason why we're advised not to drink dairy is because of the dairy that is from supermarkets. If you couldn't get raw milk because, like you say, it's out of stock, or you just haven't had a chance to go and get it, or what would you do? Would you have almond milk, or would you just not have milk?
Depends what mood I'm in. So there are times I actually am fine with having pasteurized milk. The only downside is obviously I don't get the enzymes and the probiotics and nutrients that you would with the raw milk, but I'm actually fine with it. I would just 100% get Jersey milk, non-homogenized, which you can if you go to Waitrose or something, or Whole Foods. There is a high quality supermarket milk, and you can kind of see the farms, like small scale and still, so there's that side to it. Like, you can go and get semi-decent milk from supermarket.
Okay.
I do have coconut. I would like coconut milk every now and then, but you got to look for the right one that's just no oils, no fillers, no gums, crap in it. You can get like Plenish that has literally just coconut and water, and that's spring water, and that's the good quality.
For sure. What do you avoid? Like, what are your absolute no-nos?
There's a lot.
Okay, I'm ready.
This is the toughest thing about the knowledge, and at first it seems like scaremongering, but then you learn about why and what it does to you, and you see that it affects your hormones and disrupts whatever it is, and it's that knowledge, and then not being overwhelmed by it and taking it as a sign that it's like a positive thing, that you've got this space now to make positive change. Like, you've got to feel grateful for knowing this knowledge. But there are things like pans that have Teflon on it, and there are studies and there's even just evidence that the companies have been sued for the non-stick material that goes on it. When you cook with that and you use your stainless steel thing, you get all these scratch marks. Like, you look at your scratch pan, you still use it. Like, where do you think that chemical is going? Because that's going into your food. And it has this thing, this crazy chain of carbons that just can't be broken down, which is why it's non-stick. That sits in your stomach, that sits in your fat, in your body. So that's a big one. Like, my environment, I look at what's in the kitchen. I don't cook with any plastic. I try and avoid plastic. It's impossible to avoid, but I try my best. Drinking from glass bottles and things. When it comes to food, the biggest one is seed oils. Vegetable oil, rapeseed, sunflower oil. There's so many things wrong with that, and that is the epitome of ultra processed food. And so many people say, I don't understand why you avoid vegetable oil. Like, I have a zero tolerance policy with that, and people are like, I can't understand why you just avoid sunflower oil. But then if I said to them, do you know why I avoid ultra processed foods? They'd say, yeah, like, I understand that.
Yeah.
It's knowing what is actually the process of making that sunflower oil. That is bleached and left. There's processes that takes months, and the amount of sunflower seeds you need to get that, the quality of them, and they are absolutely, if you look at the process, it's disgusting. And they used to be used as an industrial lubricant. In the 40s, it was used to lubricate like big industrial machines, and then someone had the bright idea of using it as food and selling it and making more profit on it that way. So yeah, just like, that is a big one for me, vegetable oils.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on seed oils and pans. I use Our Place. Do you use Our Place? What pans do you use?
I just have a typical stainless steel pan.
Okay.
Or a
Our
cast
Place
iron.
is good.
Yeah.
I will show you that afterwards.
Interesting.
I want to ask about whether this lifestyle ever kind of affects you when you travel, or when you go to a friend's house, or when you're not at home. Do you feel like it ever restricts you?
I don't feel like it restricts me, because even though I have to go out my way to avoid certain things, and I have to go out my way to get certain things into my diet, when I'm traveling, it's super difficult, but it's not restrictive in the sense that I want to do those things. For example, if you said to me, let's go to like a pizza place, I genuinely don't crave pizza. Like, I don't like the idea of eating pizza or really processed foods. I like, people are like, do you miss crisps and things? I don't. I literally have no desire to eat that. Maybe 5 years ago it would have been a part of my diet, and because it's a part of my diet, I have the taste buds that are used to processed artificial sweeteners and flavors, and you kind of miss it. Like, that's exactly what they're engineered to do. Now I've been not eating them for years. I have absolutely no desire to eat them, so it doesn't feel restrictive when people are like, oh, we're going to go to Pizza Hut or something. It's like, I really don't want to go. So
completely agree. I have never liked pizza. Pizza, burgers, fries, crisps, none of that. Like, I don't ever remember liking it. And again, when you just don't have it, you just don't want it.
Yeah.
Like, it's just not a thing. So I'm with you on that.
The other thing to touch on with that is, I honestly believe you can remake anything that is processed with whole foods. And if I'm really craving a burger, I will find a way to make it with some insanely high quality burger that's just 100% meat, some organic, local, fresh, seasonal tomatoes. I'll have some raw cheddar or something, some raw cheese, parmesan, and then some sourdough bread that's been baked like just down the road. Like, there's a way to do it. So you don't need to have processed foods, and you can replace everything with whole foods. I think that's probably the biggest message, because I get asked a lot like, oh, your diet seems so restrictive. It's just, I'm eating exactly what I want to eat. I don't feel restricted in any way at all.
Yeah.
And it's very broad. Like, I eat a range of things, have kimchi, like a lot of things that would surprise people. And I am getting a lot more vegetables into my diet, having realised that they don't affect me in a negative way, especially fermented vegetables. I really thrive on kimchi and sauerkraut.
Yeah, for sure. And you mentioned that you live with your mum. Does she eat the way you eat?
Yeah, it's quite infectious. It's funny because when it first happened, she was so against it, and she's never really been a big meat eater. But when you look at someone that's living in your house, you know them really well, and all of a sudden they have more energy, they've got better skin, better hair, just something's going on, and you kind of want to be involved. Like, and all I talk about is my nutrition, because it's such a big factor of my health. And obviously I try and tell her, you know, you shouldn't be eating this is better for you. And it's difficult when you look at someone eating processed foods to just explain, like, why not. So after years and everything, she's kind of become a much more into this diet, loves red meat, eats a lot more steak, and completely just cooks everything herself. She doesn't eat any processed foods now, which is amazing.
Amazing. What about alcohol? Do you drink?
It's been I've never been a big drinker, to be honest, but there's times like when you're like 18, 19 and everyone's drinking, and it's just part, like especially in the UK, it's part of the lifestyle. And so obviously it was a part of my life, and there were times where I was drinking once a week, and there was times where I didn't really drink at all, not even for any reason. I just don't really like alcohol that much. Now, in the last year, I can probably count like maybe 3 times that I've drank in the last year.
Wow.
And those will be very, very specific occasions. Like I went on holiday, I meet my friend out on holiday, and we're just like in this amazing place, and there's a vineyard and it's down the road and it's organic wine. I think wine's probably up there with like the best alcohol. It's fermented grapes, so it's still alcohol. Alcohol's alcohol and affect you, and there's negatives to it, but I hate the way that I feel the day after.
Yeah, I'm so with you on that. I mean, when I say I drink, I mean I don't drink loads, but I definitely drink at least once a week. Like I think being up in London in an environment where like you meet up with friends and you definitely just drink, but I'm so like wary of the way I'm going to feel after, and I try and put so many things in place. Like I drink electrolytes before, or like before I go to bed, and like I'm just so, I also, this is going to sound ridiculous, but I also think like a hangover is a state of mind. So like I put things in place the next day, which I have to do, and it makes me feel so much better. Like if I wake up and think, oh, I feel hungover, like you're going to feel hungover. Yeah. Like if I wake up and like jump out of bed, get to the gym, go for a sauna, go for a walk, I'm fine.
I like that.
Yeah, so like everyone's like, oh my God, like you just don't operate, you operate so well on a hangover. I'm like, yeah, but I just don't put myself in a hangover state of mind. Yeah. Like I'm up, I'm out, my alarm is on. Yeah, my alarm's on my phone, but like I just get up and out, and like I don't think about it, and so I'm fine. But yeah, I'm with you.
Alcohol is a very interesting one, because you can there's different things you can do, like you say, to try and mitigate how you feel the next day. And obviously for me and for you, we are like busy people, and we want to be able to be productive the next day. If you drink, in reality, the next 2 to 3 days your brain is not working at 100%, and there's a recovery period, and you try and do things that require focus or brain power, and it's just not going to be there. And you can try and like, oh yeah, I feel great, but the reality is
like I would never drink for a podcast episode, for example, like the night before, no way. And it's just because like you're just not on your top form, and your brain's not 100% where it should be. So I completely agree. There's
also the other side. It's like, I think people have it as a reliance, and I've definitely felt, I literally can remember thinking, oh, I'm going to find it like really difficult to stop drinking in my life. Like I'll probably just always drink. And I remember having that thought about 2021, because I assumed that every time I went to a social event I had to drink. And so it was going, and I used to have quite, not bad anxiety, but just like not the most confident person. And so going to those social things was like, yeah, I'm always going to have a drink. As soon as I started to go sober and realized that I actually enjoyed it more, and I felt good the next day after, I just realized I didn't need to depend on it. And then I've gotten out of that now. And I'm also very into what I'm doing with work, that I'd actually rarely go out. And if I see friends, it's going to be, we're doing a workout, we're going on a hike, we're doing something interesting, something active, or we're watching a film together, whatever it is. Like that's what I love to do. I don't really like to go to the pub or go out, so I don't miss it at all.
And what about like sweet treat, as it were? Like what's your go-to?
Dates with butter or coconut oil. In your case, coconut oil.
I'm with almond butter.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Do you know Well Easy?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I use their 100% almond.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I know Josh. He's a cool guy.
Yeah. So I use that, and that with date. Insane. Amazing. Okay, we have a final question, which is bringing it all back to food again, which is, what would your last meal be? Starter, main course, dessert?
Okay, starter would be raw goat's yogurt with bee pollen, raw honey, and figs and raspberries.
Nice.
And a little bit of olive oil.
Nice.
I love yogurt, so going for that. And then my main meal would be a pretty rare steak with sweet potato fries, cooked in beef tallow, and a side of carrots with parmesan, with olive oil and a bit of sea salt.
I mean, that sounds delicious. I mean, I'd probably swap out the steak, but the rest I'm there. I'm like so there. Okay, dessert.
Then I would finish with, I've said dates, that's already done.
You can have that as your last. Dessert.
I just love dates.
Yeah,
dates and butter, and a little bit of sea salt on the dates.
I'm surprised with the whole dates and butter thing, but I think I have seen that before. Someone came here on a podcast and they put butter in their coffee. I was like, this is niche.
It's a good thing, because when you have coffee, you want fat so that the caffeine binds with the fat and it slows the absorption of the caffeine, so you get less of a spike. And the same with the nutrients as well, which is why I always put Organised in it, put a load of buffalo milk, have my yogurt, and I am someone that gets affected by coffee. So like I sip my coffee through the whole morning. If I drink that in one go, I'm like,
woo!
It's jittery as well.
I'm gone. This has been so interesting, Niall. Thank you so much for coming on. I'm going to link Organised in the show notes so people can check it out. I think there's so much to be said for all of this, and who knows, I've introduced quite a few things already, so maybe raw milk, maybe organs could happen. Who knows?
Yes, it's gonna happen.
Let's not make any promises yet. But thank you so much for coming on. It's been great.
Thank you so much.